Everybody say hi to Ragnarok. Oh, Ragnarok. We call her Rocky for short. Also Beano, also Bean, also Reno. So that's Rocky. She is, oh my gosh, you guys, so much to say about her. I'm gonna be doing a get ready with me soon so we can catch up because this has been a crazy year. And I feel like I haven't sat down and talked with you guys a ton this year. And there's just been so many crazy things that have happened. Reno Ragnarok is our most recent one. So she is the baby of the house. We are now officially outnumbered, okay? Welcome to today's video, guys. I'm so excited to talk to you guys about cycle tracking and how that can relate to your spirituality journey. This is something I started doing in autumn of 2022. So I have been doing this for almost 3 years, and it's been such an insane, crazy, informative experience where I feel like I've learned so much, and I'm just like, why did I never know this? Why was this never taught? Why is this not more mainstream? So I'm really excited to just share my experience and kind of explain how I do it and how you can get started and how it might benefit you. I always like to just preface when I talk about this, especially since I do fertility awareness method birth control. I know that's a hot topic, and I never want anyone to feel like they have to do what I do, because what I do doesn't work for everybody, because we're all unique and individual and different. So I'm just going to share my experience and talk to you guys about that, because that's the life I've lived. So yes, I quit birth control pills after being on them for 10 years in autumn of 2022. I had got onto them when I was 14, 14. Baby Beano, I don't know if you can see her, but she's drinking water. I got on them when I was 14 because I had insane periods, really crazy periods. And so they did really well for me in that it normalized my cycle, it made it more bearable. And so when I got off of the pill in 2022, I had figured I probably had endometriosis or PCOS. A lot of my friends and people I care about have those and have had similar experiences. So I was just bracing myself for the worst because my periods were so horrible before I got onto the pill. Now looking back, because getting off the pill was actually a very, very easy experience for me, I think probably I was just having, I don't know, honestly, I guess a rough intro into womanhood. Because I don't have PCOS, I don't have endometriosis, so I was able to do fertility awareness method as birth control. I've been on it for 3 years, and I have not had a problem, and you guys know I be going crazy, if you know what I mean. So I can tell you it works, okay? And I'm not talking about that today, but if you do want to learn more about that as birth control, I have a whole podcast on that, so I'll link that below. But what I want to talk about today is specifically cycle tracking, which isn't birth control, but it could be used in tandem with something like the fertility awareness method, which is what I use. So if you want to learn more about that, listen to my podcast or read the book Taking Charge of Your Fertility. That's what I read. Okay, let's talk about cycle tracking. Let's do it. So what is cycle tracking? Cycle tracking is just tracking your cycle. So we have 4 stages in our menstrual cycle: follicular, ovulatory, luteal, and menstrual phase. Usually we just kind of learn about the menstrual phase and briefly the ovulation, but not really. So what cycle tracking is learning about those and learning how to work with those cycles rather than against. Something I thought was so crazy is that the difference between men's hormonal cycle versus women's is very, very different. So men go through a 24-hour hormonal cycle. So if a man ever tells you you're hormonal because you're a woman, be like, bitch, you go through all of it in 24 hours. It takes me a month to go through all the hormones that you just went through in a day. Sit down, please. Because that's the truth. They go through their cycle in a 24-hour time frame, whereas we go through a cycle on a 28-day time frame, typically. Obviously, we live in a patriarchy that men have kind of created, right? Am I right? I'm right. So like the way that society functions is around a 24-hour cycle. However, if you are a woman or a person assigned female at birth, then you are actually on a 28-day cycle, and you're gonna have like weeks where you feel like shit and you're not gonna be able to be as productive as you were 2 weeks ago. And that's newsflash, that's okay. I know our society tells you that you need to like produce something every single day and be so productive and like blah blah blah. That's actually not something you have to do, believe it or not. So yeah, that's what we're gonna learn about today. So yeah, I mean, there's so many pros to it. You're understanding your body's rhythm, which means you're giving yourself more slack when it comes. Sorry, I'm like watching Kitten because she's named Ragnarok. You know what I'm saying? She's crazy. So there's so many pros to it. Like you can understand your rhythm, so you can have more compassion for yourself. Like when I'm in my luteal phase, I'm not going to expect myself to do as much at the gym as I would in my follicular phase. So you have more grace for yourself in all these different cycles. If you are very nutrition inclined, which I'm not, so I'm not going to give anybody dietary advice. I know there's videos on like what I eat in my cycle, or there's like seed cycling or something about different seeds to eat during different phases. That's so beyond me, guys. I am not a health and wellness fitness girly. Other than the mind, the body, and the spirit, but the body very little. Okay, don't take dietary advice from me. But there's so many different things you can start to adjust based on where you are in your cycle. And that just makes things like so much easier because you're going with the flow rather than against it. Which if you're here, you're like a very mindful person. You're all about going with the flow of the lunar cycles, the nature, you know, whatever. So this is like literally on par with that. And one thing that's so beautiful is that the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle aligns with the 4 seasons and the cycles of the moon. We'll talk about that a little later. So for example, like through cycle tracking, also with therapy, I discovered that I personally have a little bit of PMDD, and tracking my cycle and my moods has allowed me to, I guess, just like realize that this that I'm feeling is just a part of my cycle. So like I get really bad body dysmorphia in my luteal phase and just like really bad anxiety. And so when I'm experiencing these things where I'm like, holy shit, I just got hit by a truck of sadness, I can be like, oh, also I super just started my luteal phase. This is all a part of the cycle. Like the world is not ending. Like I'm gonna get over it. Let me just like tend to myself in this next week and a half and like be there for myself. Does that make sense? I hope it does. You can also, like I said, plan your activities, your workout schedule, your work schedule if you can, social outings, etc. around your cycle. So like I said, I know that for me in my luteal phase, I am kind of very like antisocial. Like I just like feel gross, like I don't want to go out, I want to just be cozy. So I tend to avoid scheduling lots of social gatherings, especially with people I don't know. But I will make a point to have like one-on-one time because I do think that's really important. So really close friends or a date with my husband or whatever. Alternatively, I know that I feel super empowered in social gatherings during my ovulation phase. So I let that be the time where I go out, I party, I have a good time. My confidence tends to be really high. So if I'm doing photo shoots, like schedule it around ovulation time for sure. There's also some things that say you're like, you release sexy pheromones when you're in ovulation. Now, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know if that's true or not, but I have heard that, and I definitely feel sexier when I'm ovulating, so something that is obviously a super common question is, can I cycle track if I don't have regular periods or if I don't bleed at all? And yeah, instead of cycle tracking for birth control like I do with fertility awareness method, you can still cycle track. It's going to be more spiritual and less physical, because you're not really going to be able to track like, I'm in my follicular, I'm in my ovulation, blah, 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 whatever. But what I like to tell people is like, you can just spiritually, energetically sync up with the moon and kind of like, you're going to be ignoring the hormonal aspect of it, but it will be made a point energetically and intuitively that you're connecting to the moon. So the new moon, would be more like the menstrual phase, the waxing would be the follicular, the full moon would be the ovulation, and the waning moon would be the luteal phase, which you'll see when we talk about this more that they really, really correlate. And I think that's like insane and cool. Also, if you don't have a regular cycle, don't do fertility awareness method. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work for you. So what I would say with these folks is like, yeah, connect to the cycles of the moon, make an intuitive pledge to the moon that you're going to be syncing up with it, and during each phase, journal about how you're feeling, and you're gonna notice that you feel specific ways during specific phases. It's gonna be a little bit more work because it's not as cut and dry as like, oh, I'm ovulating, this is what's happening, this is how I'll feel. You're gonna have to kind of do the studying of that, but it's a lot of payoff. Another common question is, can I cycle track if I'm on hormonal birth control? So yeah, listen, everyone can cycle track and it's just going to look differently. So yours is gonna look more like what I described above for folks who don't bleed or don't have regular cycles, because if you're on hormonal birth control, you're not having a real period because you're not ovulating. Now I know different hormonal birth controls do different things, so listen to your doctor. But I know for me, when I was on the pill, it was the kind that like just prevents you from ovulating. So if you don't ovulate, you don't have a real period. And by real, I mean like a official shedding of the uterine lining. So your phases aren't going to, again, look the same, but I would say sync up with the moon. And you can also sync up with like the, you know, what's the word? Like the kind of faux period that you take when you take the 4 iron pills or whatever. Again, I know it's like so different for every form of birth control, so whatever works for you, you can work with that 28-day cycle of the pill if you want, or I would more so recommend just syncing up with the cycle of the moon. Something I want to really press in is that something you can do in every single phase of this cycle is meditation. This is something I do in every phase of my cycle, and I will curate it specifically for what phase I'm in, what I need, and what I typically tend to be feeling during that phase. And honestly, having a dedicated practice is so grounding, and this is why I'm so happy to be collaborating with Aura on today's video to tell you guys about what kind of meditations I would be using based on what phase of the cycle I'm in. So for example, these are some meditations I would do in different phases of my cycle. Follicular, this is when energy's rising. This is similar to the waxing moon. So something where you get energy going, like a walking meditation or a breath work. Ovulation, this is party time city. This is party city, okay? So this is where I would do something very, very activating, like a dance meditation or maybe like a sacred sex ritual. Luteal phase. So luteal phases are pretty tough for me personally, and it is just kind of a drop in the sexy hormones, so you can kind of just feel a bit more reserved. So this is when I would do a self-compassion meditation. Anything self-lovey, soft, and gentle. And during the menstrual phase of my cycle, I feel so intuitive. My tarot readings are insane. Like, it's just such a psychic time for me, and so I like to do a deep meditation. Aura is truly my favorite meditation app and the only one I've ever really loved and the only one I plan on continuing to use. I will leave the link down below and you can get started for completely free on Aura's app using the link in my description. The first 500 people get a free trial and an exclusive 25% off. So go grab it, go get it, girl. There's only 500. Come join the party. Okay, let's talk about the phases. So the first one I want to talk about is the follicular. I've got my notes here if I'm looking. That's because I'm trying not to get off on a tangent. So the follicular phase is after you've bled and had your menstrual cycle, your moon bleed. This is when, oh God, guys, I don't know the science of it, okay? I'm so sorry. I wish I knew the science. I should have prepped. But this is where the energy is growing. I'm talking spiritually because I am not a doctor. Here's my tea. This is what I think it is. I'm pretty sure it's, so I know what's happening, okay? Your body is gearing up to release the egg to ovulate, right? So yeah, you know, like you're releasing hormones about it. Energetically, this is the time of growth. We see this connected to the season of spring, right? If you think of spring, it's like things are kind of waking back up, like things are growing, things are kind of prepping for the summer. And this is also correlated to the waxing moon in the lunar phase. So if you're tracking yourself through the lunar cycles, the follicular phase for you is the waxing moon. Now, if you bleed, you will link up with something, but, you know, people say like, oh, I bleed on the full moon, I'm a witch. I bleed on the new moon, I'm a witch. And I'm gonna be so real. I used to bleed on the full moon, and it did feel very cool. Like, I felt really cool. But my cycle got a little fucked up there for a second, and so now I bleed on the waxing, like the first quarter, which is cool too. That's fine. I'll take it. So you can look into like what it means if I bleed on the blank moon, but you'll be on your own cycle. So when I'm in my follicular phase, some activities I like to do are getting myself back out into the world, because typically luteal menstrual phase, I'm pretty low key. And so when it's follicular, I'm like, okay, let me get back out there. Let me start doing some things, you know, as you would in the waxing moon cycle. If you're doing like spell work or spirituality stuff, like you're going to want to be putting intentions out there, knowing that they're growing. So manifestation's really good at this time. And when you're in the gym, you know, like starting to amp back up, right? You're not at your peak, that would be ovulation, but you can start to work yourself back up to more intense workouts, maybe going on some more walks, maybe going out dancing, like have some fun. I would avoid like staying in, you know, really try to push yourself to get back out there, especially if you're someone who gets very like self-isolating in the luteal and menstrual phase. Get yourself back out there, force yourself out there. In terms of spell work, this is a great time to do anything manifesting or anything that you want to grow and get bigger. So again, it's anything you would do during the waxing moon, right? Anything you want to grow. Next is ovulation. So this is connected to summer and to the full moon. So this is a beautiful time. Just girl, don't do it. If you're on that fertility awareness method, abstain, my queen. Okay, the goddess gave us many ways to enjoy the art of pleasure. Just do it safely. So the ovulation phase is obviously when your body is gearing up to release the egg and releases that shit. If you have like female anatomy. So this is a very like hormones are on kind of high. You're having all the feel good hormones. You're having the feeling sexy hormones. So like I said, this is when I plan photo shoots. If you are in the dating sphere, plan a date, because you're going to be feeling so sexy. You're going to be feeling yourself. Like, this is the time to get out there and put yourself out there. Maybe you want to start a YouTube channel and you're a little nervous. Film the video on your ovulation day or like in that phase, because you just feel so much more confident. So does that make sense? Yeah. In the gym, you can start to amp it up. This is like your peak. Your body's feeling great. You know, I'm not a gym girly too much, but that's what I do know for you. Yeah, just really, this is the peak of energy. This is like the peak of confidence, the feeling sexy vibes. So it's my favorite time. It's beautiful and great. In terms of what to avoid during the ovulation phase, really avoid not putting yourself out there. Avoid not taking risks. This is like the perfect time to put yourself out there, to take risks, to, you know, like have a good time. So don't hide yourself inside. In terms of spell work, this is correlated to the full moon. So anything when it comes to like powerful manifestation, anything you want to celebrate, anything you want to kind of like illuminate, is all good for this. Also like self-love stuff. Honestly, you can do self-love stuff anytime though. The luteal phase, oh my god. So I feel a little biased because like I said, my therapist thinks I have PMDD, which is basically like during your luteal phase, the transition from ovulation to luteal, so everyone has like different hormonal balances, right? And like different amounts of each hormone. So those with PMDD, when they ovulate, their feel-good hormones are like really high, and then when they go into the luteal phase, like it super drops. So that change in hormones varies person to person, and so from what I understand, when you have PMDD, you might have a bigger gap. So that switch from ovulation to luteal phase feels really like, whoa, you know, because it's a bigger gap from the hormones. Whereas if you have a smaller gap, it might just be like, oh yeah, I'm a little tired now, or you know, I'm not feeling as social or whatever. But I am pretty sure I have a pretty big gap. So I literally feel it. Like, I feel like the second I enter my luteal phase, I feel like I feel it. Another thing too is like if you are doing natural birth control, and or not on hormonal birth control, I should say, when you enter your luteal phase, your temperature spikes by not that much, but if you're tuned in, you can feel it. And it's like, I'm sweating now. Like I have night sweats. What's happening? I was really sexy yesterday. Now I'm tired and I have night sweats. Like, what the fuck? So you might feel it pretty intense. So yeah. I feel a little biased because I tend to have rougher luteal phases, but I did read, I saw this like on TikTok, you guys, so I don't know, but I read that like if you take antihistamines, like Zyrtec, like the day before your luteal phase or like one of the first days of your luteal phase, it can help with PMDD symptoms. So I tried it one time and it really did work. I don't know if it was like, you know, an affirmation, like I was like telling myself that it would work and so it worked, or if it actually works, but I mean, it worked for me, so I don't know. But yeah, so luteal phases tend to get quieter. It's when the energy starts to slow down. It's connected to autumn or the waning moon. So again, as you see that in the seasons, in the lunar phase, energy just gets a little lower. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It just might be, you know, when you were ovulating, you felt super social and you like hosted so well, like a girls' tea party. It was so beautiful and amazing. And now you feel like, oh, I kind of like maybe just like want to have a cozy night in, order my favorite food. Yes. Like listen to that. It's autumn. It's like the autumn of your body. You know what I'm saying? It's the waning moon. So it's all about kind of bringing that energy back in and back down. So I like to really do a lot of like body positivity and like self-love stuff because I tend to like get a little bloaty around this time. And like I said, the body dysmorphia goes crazy during the luteal phase. So like wear comfortable clothes, but still try to like look cute so that I don't feel like gross. And you know, eat my favorite food and take it easy in the gym and not be so hard on myself if I feel tired and I can't, you know, hit my goal or whatever. So just for me, it's very much a mental thing of like reframing my expectations for myself. And I really avoid putting myself in social situations where I might feel uncomfortable. Honestly, anything that might make me feel hyper aware of myself or uncomfortable or self-conscious or whatever, it's like not necessary during this week and a half. Like this is the week and a half to just like be really nice to yourself. So that's what it is. For spell work, this can be a good time for banishing things, gaining clarity on what is not serving you, and like releasing any negativity, doing a cleanse, like really just clearing yourself of anything that doesn't work for you. And lastly, we have the menstrual phase, which is connected to winter and also the dark moon / the new moon, but I would say the dark moon before light starts showing. So we know what the menstrual phase is. Like this is the one we actually are taught about. So this is obviously when you bleed. And obviously energy's a little lower. But I feel like the energy kind of does start to grow a little bit in the menstrual phase. Typically, I still am focusing on my body and being really kind to it. If I'm cramping, if I'm not feeling good, like taking it easy, not pushing my limits, you know, your body is going through a lot in these times. You're losing a lot of blood. Like if you are a person who eats meat, like I do try to eat some red meat on my first day of my period because, you know, if you bleed a lot, you might kind of get deficient in iron. So eating iron heavy foods can be really helpful for you during this time. And like I said before, I really feel like so psychic during my menstrual phase. And I know that's a thing that has been talked about throughout culture, and many ancient cultures like viewed this time as like the time where women would get insights. And I do feel like I'd be getting insights during this. So I don't know if you guys feel it, but I definitely feel that way. So I typically try to pull some tarot cards or do some meditation that's really deep. Anything where I'm really tapping into my intuition. In terms of activities, I still keep it really simple and really chill, but I do start to kind of like bring the energy up a little bit, if that makes sense. But I do like to just like stay at home, take it easy, maybe cook a really nice meal, and yeah, just like consistently check in with yourself and how you're feeling, because sometimes like some periods are just more intense than others. So just like always be checking in with yourself. In terms of spell work, obviously there are lots of people who use their moon blood in their rituals. You can totally do that. This is a time that's viewed as like a cleansing of sort and like a renewal. So anything that has to do with cleansing, renewal, rebirth, it's the first, like your first day of bleeding is your first day of your new cycle. So it's like a new chapter, a new cycle. So any sort of new beginning work can be really good. Again, connected to the dark moon, the new moon. So yeah. Oh my god, you guys, I hope that made sense. Did it make sense? I hope so. I feel like I rambled. I'm just like sitting on my floor, and I leave tomorrow for a work trip, and I feel like that's all I've been doing this year. So I just feel like kind of disorganized, but I enjoyed being on the floor with you and introducing you to Rakita. She's in there. This feels so like OG YouTube to be like on the floor and just talking with my computer. So yeah, if you have any questions about what I talked about today or about the fertility awareness method, feel free to comment below and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. Like I said, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor, so when it comes to specifics of hormonally what's happening, I would recommend reading like Taking Charge of Your Fertility. That's a really good book. I can only talk about the energetics, the spiritual, and my experience. So, but if you have any questions about that, do feel free to let me know in the comments, and I'll try to hang out there. I'd be more than happy to answer those questions. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.